Finally, Joseph asks, I've recently watched you and other content creator videos on Russian propaganda, and it's fascinating how it can be seen as a type of psychological warfare. It's worrying to me that I know people to this day who believe in the Ukrainian biological weapon lab narrative. So what is the best defense against false information being used as propaganda? And can a PSYOP done against the American people be considered an act of war? And who defends against the false information used as propaganda? Boy, that's a good question. I think the best defense against propaganda is education. Video games are a lot of fun, but they've really hurt the war effort because so many people view playing Call of Duty as a realistic simulation in the decision-making cycle of a soldier or how armies actually conduct battles. When you shoot 5 people, you don't get an airstrike. It doesn't really work like that. Airstrikes are planned, weeks in advance or through many different channels. So how to defend yourself is really it's to learn about as many varied subjects as you possibly can. Think of books as a vaccine against misinformation. Now, they can't be fiction books. You need to read nonfiction books on every single subject possible. I think one of the reasons I do fairly well when it comes to either affirming or discrediting propaganda, it's that I have read books on just about every topic under the sun, from a history of salt to Moshe Dayan's biography. So if you can have that wide breadth of knowledge, you're much better armed to fight misinformation. Can a PSYOP against the American people be considered an act of war? I don't think so. Right now, China's running a PSYOP against the United States. It's called TikTok. The government of China is totally capable of moving America's opinion percentages just enough to get certain policies passed by choosing to show or not to show certain kinds of videos. So if InfoWar is war, then we've been at war with China since 2016. But I'm not a lawyer. That would be a question for a lawyer. So the short answer is probably not. Now, who defends against the false information being used? That's a good question because America has freedom of speech, even though there are limitations to that. Like you can't shout fire in a crowded theater. But the idea of a government truthful internet information approval board would be a gross violation of America's civil rights. So really, debunking propaganda is up to you. From what I understand, the ancient Greeks didn't have lawyers. This is why logic and public speaking were so important in ancient Greece. If you went to court, it was actually your job to defend yourself. So I think as hard as it is to add yet another task to your to-do list, it's actually up to you to have the personal responsibility to know what is truth and what is fiction, and most importantly, not to spread disinformation. And now that's a tall order.